Welcome to the first in our series of readings in English literature. Jane meets Mr. Rochester in the garden. A selection from Jane Eyre, by Charlotte Bronte. Read by Heather, a text-to-speech voice from Acapela-Group. The narration in this presentation is powered by Speech Over Professional, with computer-generated text-to-speech voices. The modulations that you hear in Heather's voice, the pauses, the emphasized words, and the changes in speed, were introduced with Speech Over's Sappy Voice Editor. On each slide, the text being read is displayed, together with the Sappy modulation tags, that were inserted with the Sappy Editor. See the Speech Over tutorials on www.speechover.com for more information.
A splendid midsummer shone over England, skies so pure, suns so radiant as were then seen in long succession, seldom favor even singly, our wave-girt land. It was as if a band of Italian days had come from the south, like a flock of glorious passenger birds, and lighted to rest them on the cliffs of Albion. The hay was all got in. The fields round Thornfield were green and shorn, the roads white and baked. The trees were in their dark prime. Hedge and wood, full-leaved, and deeply tinted, contrasted well with the sunny hue of the cleared meadows between. On Midsummer Eve, Adele, weary with gathering wild strawberries and hailing half the day, had gone to bed with the sun. I watched her drop asleep, and when I left her, I sought the garden. It was now the sweetest hour of the 24. Its fervid fires had wasted, and dew fell cool on panting plain and scorched summit. Where the sun had gone down in simple state, pure the pomp of clouds, spread a solemn purple, burning with the light of red jewel and furnace flame at one point, on one hill peak, and extending high and wide, soft and still softer, over half heaven. The east had its own charm or fine deep blue, and its own modest gem, a casino and solitary star. Soon it would boast the moon, but she was yet beneath the horizon. I walked a while on the pavement, but a subtle, well-known scent, that of a cigar, stole from some window. I saw the library casement open a handbreadth. I knew I might be watched thence, so I went apart into the orchard. No nook in the grounds more sheltered, and more Eden-like. It was full of trees, it bloomed with flowers. A very high wall shut it out from the court on one side. On the other, a beech avenue screened it from the lawn. At the bottom was a sunk fence, its sole separation from lonely fields. A winding walk, bordered with laurels and terminating in a giant horse chestnut, circled at the base by a seat, led down to the fence. Here, one could wander unseen. While such honeydew fell, such silence reigned, such gloaming gathered, I felt as if I could haunt such shade forever. But, in threading the flower and fruit parterres, at the upper part of the enclosure, enticed there by the light, the now rising moon cast on this more open quarter, my step is stayed. Not by sound, not by sight, but once more by a warning fragrance. Sweetbriar and southernwood, jasmine, pink, and rose, have long been yielding their evening sacrifice of incense. This new scent is neither of shrub nor flower. It is, I know it well, it is Mr. Rochester's cigar. I look round, and I listen. I see trees laden with ripening fruit. I hear a nightingale warbling in a wood half a mile off. No moving form is visible, no coming step audible, but that perfume increases. I must flee. I make for the wicket leading to the shrubbery, and I see Mr. Rochester entering. I step aside into the ivy recess. He will not stay long, he will soon return whence he came, and if I sit still he will never see me. But no. Eventide is as pleasant to him as to me, and this antique garden as attractive. And he strolls on, now, lifting the gooseberry tree branches to look at the fruit, large as plums, with which they are laden. Now, taking a ripe cherry from the wall. Now, stooping towards a knot of flowers, either to inhale their fragrance or to admire the dew beads on their petals. A great moth goes humming by me. It alights on a plant at Mr. Rochester's foot. He sees it, and bends to examine it. Now, he has his back towards me, thought I, and he is occupied, too. Perhaps, if I walk softly, I can't slip away unnoticed. I trod on an edging of turf, that the crackle of the pebbly gravel might not betray me. He was standing among the beds at a yard or two distant from where I had to pass. The moth apparently engaged him. I shall get by very well, I meditated. As I crossed his shadow, thrown long over the garden by the moon, not yet risen high, he said quietly, without turning,
"Jane, come and look at this fellow."
I had made no noise. He had not eyes behind. Could his shadow feel? I started at first, and then I approached him.
"Look at his wings, he reminds me rather of a West Indian insect. One does not often see so large and gay a night rover in England. There. He is flown."
The moth roamed away. I was sheepishly retreating also, but Mr. Rochester followed me, and when we reached the wicket, he said,
"Turn back. On so lovely a night, it is a shame to sit in the house. And surely, no one can wish to go to bed while sunset is thus at meeting with moonrise."